If you've missed me, we've been at the hospital.
Thank you so much for all your prayers. Thank you for all your thoughts and thinking about us. And we had a few people call us, lots of family call us, lots of family texting us. You know, we had a few people that came and saw us here at the hospital. I'm just so thankful for all your prayers. Thank you so much for praying and thinking about us. Yeah, we love you all, don't we? Yes, we do. So if you missed some of my videos, it's because we've been in the hospital with this little man. He sure gave us a scare. Didn't you, bud? So let's start from the beginning. So what was it, last week? He started to get sick, just like congested sick. Just like a little congestion in his nose. And I didn't think anything of it, just like, it really sounded like a cold, so we just treated it like a cold. And for 2 days he was just congested, no fever, no nothing. So anyways, on Wednesday, my daughter had a dentist appointment, and I was like, you know what, we're heading out that way. Why not see if they can get him into the doctor's just to check him out to see what's going on. So luckily my husband came with me that day. He took my daughter to the dentist appointment, and I stayed with him at his doctor's appointment. And so the doctor said, okay, it sounds like a really bad cold, but let me just test him for RSV, because they've been having a lot of cases with kids with RSV. So he tested him, he did the nose swab, and he sent me home, and he's like, okay, well, his lungs look good, he looks good, so we're just gonna send you home. If he starts to get worse, don't even come into don't come here. He said, don't come to the doctor's office, go straight to the emergency room. I was like, okay. So that night, he was fussy. We went to bed right around 8 o'clock, his normal bedtime, but he just wouldn't stop crying all night long. I haven't slept in a week because he had been sick for the last 4 days, just with like a stuffy nose that he couldn't sleep. I was literally holding him like this. Lay down, buddy. Just holding him like this, kind of sitting myself up on top of the bed, and just like holding him so he could get a good night's sleep. But that night, was it Thursday night, he just wouldn't stop crying. And I finally told my husband, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, I said, you know what, I'm taking him to the emergency room. He hasn't slept, I'm exhausted, I don't think he feels good, he's been crying. And he hadn't slept either. He's like, okay. So he stayed home with the rest of the kids, and I drove 45 minutes off to the emergency room. And I told them, you know, they had tested him for RSV and all that, and they checked him out. They're like, okay, well, his lungs, they kind of explained to me how RSV works. You know, they said that his lungs were it's like a virus that kind of closes up in your lungs, and they have to give him oxygen and able to, you see, he still has that cough. They give him oxygen in order to help him breathe. So they put him on oxygen because when he was breathing, his chest was like coming in. You can see his little chest cavity, you know, right here. I'm sorry, buddy. It was like going in every time he was breathing. So the doctor was like, well, let's just keep an eye on him, give him oxygen and keep an eye on him. They kept an eye on him and nothing. As a matter of fact, it was getting worse. So right around noon, he said, I think we're going to have to fly you out to Phoenix. Let's just find a hospital and go from there. So right around 5 o'clock, they told us, okay, and we're heading to Phoenix. We found a hospital that's open. We're going to fly you guys out. I was like, oh, great. So I called my husband and told him, you know what, they're going to fly us out to Phoenix. why don't you go do what you need to do and get everything that needs to be done so you can head on over here. So they flew us out right around, I don't know, 4:30, maybe it was like 5 something, because we got here at 5:45. I don't know how long the flight was, but it was a good long flight. Anyways, during the whole flight, he had the oxygen on. He cried quite a bit, not gonna lie. It was rough for him. He slept for half the time and he cried half the time. And they had told us that we would be in the NICU at the hospital. So I kind of got freaked out right there. I was like, oh my goodness. He's going back into the NICU. The whole helicopter ride just brought me back to the moment that I rode in the helicopter and, right before he was born. It brought back all those memories and how he was in the NICU and all the struggles and everything. But we made it down here. We got into the NICU and they put him on a little bit stronger oxygen. And now they did give him amoxicillin, I think it was, through the IV over at our hospital, just because the doctor wasn't sure. He said it wasn't an infection, but he said he could possibly have like an ear infection maybe, because he had started to get like a very small fever. So we were at the NICU for that night. Yes, you were, huh? It was a rough night because they kept having to turn up his oxygen because he was having a hard time breathing even with the oxygen, so they had to turn it up. But after that night, the next morning, they switched us over from the NICU to just a regular room. And he still had this oxygen. They tried to lower his oxygen down the first day, like the second day, I guess. And he still was having a hard time. You could see his chest, that was just like, he was having a hard time breathing. So they upped the oxygen, and by the second day he was starting to get better. So they were like, okay, we're going to start lowering it down, and that's when they were starting to lower it and lower his oxygen down. Right, buddy? And you could tell that by the second day that he was wiggling, he was moving, he was happy, he was excited, he was playing with his toys. His little face had changed so much. You could tell that he felt way better. So they started lowering it and then last night they tried to lower down his oxygen levels, and he was still having a hard time. The doctor said that they were going to try and wean him off completely off the oxygen for the night so we can be able to go home in the morning. However, he still had a hard time last night. But as of this morning, he has been off of oxygen since 4 o'clock this morning. They just kept this in here, so when he takes a nap, they're just going to watch it to see if anything happens, if he dips or anything. But he has been good since 4 o'clock this morning, and it is, what time is it? Oh great, my watch died. It's 12:45, so in the afternoon. So he's doing good. So he's been good without his oxygen. How, buddy? Yeah, you're doing good. I'm so proud of you. They recently took out his IV too. He had an IV in here. Oh my goodness, huh? But he has been breathing on his own. He's doing really good. He's off all the machines. They were actually going to let us go home tonight. But my husband went home this morning because he had to go to work. He's like, well, just call me and I'll come back and get you guys. But I was like, why don't, just come back tomorrow. Oh yes, I'd feel a lot better if he stayed the night anyways, because we do have a higher altitude. We live up in the mountains, so our altitude is higher. I'd feel better if he would stay one night just to make sure that his breathing is pretty, is stable and he's good to go. So I think it's a good choice that we stay an extra night just to make sure, even though, you know, my husband could come back after work and then we'd end up getting home really late, but I'd feel a lot better if he would stay home, stay here tonight for an extra night, huh? Yeah. And there's our little update, which is kind of wild because he did give us a little scare right there, huh, buddy? A big scare. It was scary. But anyways, other than that, he's doing great. We plan to be home by tomorrow on Tuesday. And I don't have any other videos. I might have one video that I could, that I need to edit. I think I need to look. I think I might have one video, and I know that I have a grocery haul video that I had recorded, which I was going to post before all of this happened, but that didn't happen, obviously. So you will probably see the grocery haul video on Friday, and if I have that extra video, maybe on Wednesday, if I get the chance to finish editing it. But we will be home soon, and I'm so glad that he's back and he's happy and healthy. Yeah. You're not eating my hair, buddy. Thank you so much for praying for us. Thank you so much for thinking about us. Ooh, and we will see you next time. Whoops, hopefully on Wednesday. Say bye. Hey, look. Say bye. Bye. I'm so glad he's back to normal.